What if I told you you can earn passive income on holding Shiba Inu? Right now it's the 19th ranking cryptocurrency with $6.7 billion in market cap. Although it's a meme coin, they have been hanging around for years as one of the top cryptocurrencies. This means that they have a very solid community behind it, and just look at the other cryptocurrencies surrounding Shiba right now on the rankings. We're talking about Stellar, AVAX, Wrapped Staked Ethereum, Sui, Hedera, Toncoin even is not all that much far away in market cap. So in this video I'm going to show you how you can hold Shiba Inu, make some passive income with it by depositing into some of the most active liquidity pools. Let's dive in. Alright guys, this is the all-time chart for Shiba Inu. We saw that back in 2021. This is the first time actually that I heard of Shiba Inu. My brother was staking it back then on Binance and it just went 10x. From there on the price went down, but whether if you bought it at an all-time high and are still holding, or if you bought it during this whole year's period where it was just chopping sideways, you can still make some passive income out of it. And actually the best years to have been holding Shiba Inu while providing liquidity, it's throughout 2022 up to February of 2024. That's when it skyrocketed again, meaning that potentially if you had been depositing into a liquidity pool with a very tight range, at this moment it went out of range, so you stopped generating fees. That's the bad news. The good news is that you don't lose your capital. It just remains idle, waiting for you to do one of a couple of things. You can either widen up your range or set up a new range altogether, and chances are if you held Shiba Inu for so many years you probably are going to do that. Or maybe you just let your range to stay the same and wait for the price to drop back down and re-enter your set range. The specific price that we see right now, it's very close to this range that has been trading for the couple of years that we just mentioned. So to me this shows to be a very solid floor. Even before that, back in between May of 2021 and October of 2021, we see the same floor being active again altogether. By analyzing the chart, this gives me more reassurance that worst case scenario, the price will keep on chopping sideways and generating fees. That can be good because it allows us to tighten up the ranges more with more confidence. Although past performance doesn't guarantee anything, it's still a metric that we should always assess before depositing liquidity into any pool. Another essential key metric when considering to provide liquidity into any given pool is the 24-hour trading volume. This will show us if there is or isn't demand for any given token. All tracked platforms here show us that everything put together give Shiba Inu a volume of over $585 million, which is quite substantial. Although if we drop down here on markets, you'll see that there's plenty centralized entities that make up the bulk of that volume. But still, Shiba Inu is a token on the Ethereum blockchain, as you can see here, and we can just simply go onto Gecko Terminal and see how is this specific liquidity pool for Shiba performing on Ethereum. So the DEX is Shiba Swap, you can see it right up here. Liquidity $3.3 million. Volume very low, it's much lower than the liquidity, almost $250,000. Now the volume could be higher, but we're looking at a chart which is chopping sideways for long periods of time. Usually when that's the scenario, it means that there's not enough volume in the market to pump the price back up, but it's still going to be probably a reliable crypto that you want to hold, because in the meanwhile, while you are holding, you are earning in fees both the Shib token and Wrapped Ethereum token. Now probably if you are a regular here on the channel, you know this back and forth, but I'm just throwing this information out there for all the new people watching that are unaware of the power of providing liquidity. Become a market maker yourself, and that's the beauty of DeFi, decentralized finance, and also overall the crypto revolution. It empowers anyone in the world to join in, deposit liquidity, deposit their Shib tokens into this liquidity pool and see it generate passive income 24/7. The only moment where it stops generating you passive income is when it goes out of range. I'm going to draw here in the chart just so to give you some visual aid. So I'm going to draw two lines. One which will be the upper price range. So let's say something like this. and another will be the lower price range. So let's set it on something like this. Now, whenever the price is trading in between the two blue lines, you're generating fees. When it's trading out, you stop generating fees. You can claim fees at any point in time. You can withdraw your liquidity at any point in time. It's up to you. You have complete and total freedom to manage your funds. Also, you can claim your rewards and maybe compound them back, put them back into your position, actively growing your Shib and Ethereum bag over time, or you could cash out right away. It's completely up to you. A very important detail that I want to bring to your attention when playing with concentrated liquidity pools, because after all that's what we're talking about here, is that whenever the price goes up and it just crosses your upside price limit, in here your position will be worth 100% Ethereum, because effectively what the liquidity pool did automatically was trade your Shib for Ethereum. The opposite thing happens when it goes down in price. So let's imagine the price keeps on going down and crosses our downside limit. Now you will be holding 100% Shiba Inu tokens. Effectively, you sold all of your Ethereum for Shiba Inu. If you are a long-time holder of Shib, you probably don't bother all that much about this because you want to hold for the long run, right? The catch can be if you are someone who has no conviction about Shiba and now you see the price going down and you are holding 100% of an asset. Let's say you deposit initially $1,000. Split evenly in between Shib and Ethereum. And now you're holding 100% Shib, which is fast depreciating in price, and now your $1,000 are worth 800, 700. You might panic and sell. If you do that, you will sell at a loss, and your impermanent loss will become permanent once you sell it, once you withdraw liquidity from the position. If you sit tight and let the market take its course, you will see that in the event of Shiba bouncing back up, once it gets in your range, your liquidity becomes active again, and then you'll generate more and more fees. In a nutshell, this is how concentrated liquidity pools work, and over time I believe this is a really great way to generate passive income. Chances are, if you set the right range, and let's use this time frame in between July and November of 2024, we're talking about 4 or 5 months where your capital can be generating you some passive income. It can be more or less demanding on management depending on how tight of a range you have or how wide of a range you have. For example, if you choose to have a wider range, two things will happen. One, you will have a lower APR. The fees that you will be generating will be lower. But also, you won't need to manage the position all that often if you wanted to keep generating fees 24/7. That is definitely the upside of choosing wider ranges. And usually, in the long run, wider ranges tend to perform better also because you catch all of this volume. You see these massive pumps. For example, in December, Shib was performing really well. It didn't set any new all-time high, but still was very much back to a peak that throughout history it only had experienced 1, 2, 3, let's call it 4 or 5 times. And in order for this to happen, there's a ton of volume ongoing, and that volume itself will make up for the periods where there's lower market volatility, lower volume in the markets, in the trading markets. There's a lot of people who make a living out of this, believe it or not. And although Shiba is a meme coin, it has been around for years. It's one of the OG meme coins. Now, this liquidity pool is probably the biggest one in terms of liquidity pools that have the Shib token. But there are a lot of these type of pools that we can profit from. So we need to select the one which is the best choice. For that, we'll try to search for other options. And we can just come here and write up Shib. And now it's showing us 10 pools that have this token in multiple blockchains and also multiple decentralized exchanges. And now we will be able to see the volume to liquidity ratio, at least the volume for the past 24 hours. Although optimally, we want to have our funds in pools that perform the best over time. And we can get an idea of how the pool performs long time after we go into a decentralized exchange and start searching through their records. But first we have this pool. It is the one with the highest liquidity. It's on ShibaSwap. This is how big the Shiba Inu community became. They even came up with their own swap. Although this might not be the best option because you see there's a lot of liquidity, but the volume to liquidity ratio is not nearly optimal. Just for the sake of comparison, if we look at this same pool, it's the same token pair, Shib paired with wrapped Ethereum, you see, and This one is on UNISWAP v3, so this is a concentrated liquidity pool. To be honest, I don't know if Shiba Swap offers concentrated liquidity pools. Probably it does, but I'm not familiar with that exchange. I don't use it all that much. But here on UNISWAP v3, I know this is a concentrated liquidity pool, and I also know that if I find here PancakeSwap v3, here we go, this is also a concentrated liquidity pool. And probably both this one on PancakeSwap and this one on UNISWAP v3, this will be the best. And looking at this liquidity, 1.1 million and a volume of 200k, I know already that this pool is performing better for liquidity providers than the one on Shiba Swap. Now, in the long run, this could be different, but from my experience, by providing liquidity into decentralized exchanges, I know that Uniswap works very well when it comes to tokens on the Ethereum blockchain, which is the case for Shiba Inu. The fact that the liquidity is lower, it's not all that big of a deal for me, because what it matters is the volume to TVL ratio, the volume to liquidity ratio, and this volume is higher than this one on Shiba Swap, and also the liquidity is lower. So altogether it has a much better ratio. Now there's another pool here on Shiba Swap. The volume in here, it's almost 26k. I don't think it's worth it. There's also Uniswap v2 liquidity pools. You won't have to set up ranges in these ones, but since they are not as capital efficient, you will not earn as much in fees. Then we have this one on Dinosaur Eggs. I never used that exchange, to be honest. It's on the BNB chain, and on BNB chain, I know that PancakeSwap is the place to be. And this one has actually so far the best volume to liquidity ratio. Volume almost $57k and liquidity 175k. So this has the best volume to liquidity ratio so far. Now we just quickly went through the data of these top 10 liquidity pools on Gecko Terminal. There's going to be more pools with Shiba Inu token, but these are the top 10, right? And that allowed us already to identify a couple which are very promising. We're talking about this one on PancakeSwap. So it's Shib paired with wrapped BNB, because this is on the Binance Smart Chain. And then there's going to be on the Ethereum blockchain, Uniswap v3 Shib paired with wrapped Ethereum. And today these are the best ones that we found when it comes to performance. So now what we are going to do is that we are going to go on Uniswap and on PancakeSwap, find these pools. We can get even further metrics on past performance and also start deploying liquidity. For example, let's check here on Uniswap how this specific liquidity pool that we just saw is performing. So I'm going to go ahead, search for Shib, and there we go. We have all of these liquidity pools we can choose from. Now let's sort by 30 days volume, because again, we want something that is yielding us revenue long term. So this pool for the past month has handled over $6 million in volume, coming up with an APR of 24%. Now you might be wondering, hey, why don't I go for the ones that have the highest APR? Because APR will be a metric that is determined by the volume for the past 24 hours. We want something long run. So this gives us some reassurance. It's by far the one with the highest volume. So let's click it, and now we'll be able to access the metrics of this specific liquidity pool. It's V3, so it's concentrated liquidity, 0.3% fee tier, meaning that whenever people trade this pair, they pay 0.3% in fees. And that is where the revenue for Uniswap and liquidity providers is coming from. It's a very nice fee tier. I get really great results with this 0.3% pool fee tier. So let's set this up for the last year. Now this is going to show us the column chart for the fees generated. You see there's times where there's a lot of fees being generated. This is when there's the highest amount of volume ongoing. This specific day in November the 5th brought up in fees over $55,000. On November 12th, it was even higher with $66,000 generated in fees. Now on the right side, we can see the volume. So as you can see, the more volume generates more fees. And that's why it is so important to track volume and also consider the volume to liquidity ratio. That itself will determine the APR of any given pool. So this pool overall would be a really interesting option for people interested in generating passive income by holding Shiba Inu token. If this has been so far a lot of information, you can go and break it down on my video on how to make passive income on Uniswap. In there I show you how to use the full features of Uniswap to find this type of liquidity pools, deposit your capital there and start making passive income. You can find that video down under in the description. And the same thing for PancakeSwap. I did also a video covering how to use PancakeSwap to do the exact same thing. thing. If you want further information, I highly advise you to go check out that video. So I'm gonna be more straight to the point on this video. We're gonna go ahead and select here all tokens and find Shiba Inu. So you can actually use PancakeSwap to provide liquidity to Shiba Inu both on the BNB Smart Chain and also on Ethereum. We saw that BNB Smart Chain was performing better, so we're gonna go ahead and select that. Now everything is filtered out. We have a juicy APR of up to 91%. You won't get 91% unless you are staking cake here. If that's not your case, your LP fee APR will be 86%. Plus, you can get a farm APR if you stake your LP tokens. This will pay you in cake. It's the farm APR. So overall, we're talking about an APR very close to 89%. Your farm APR can be higher if you are staking cake, like I said, and if that's the case, you can see a combined APR of over 91%. They explain that just here. To receive boosted farm APRs, lock more cake as VCake and for longer durations. I have a whole video dedicated to show you how you can make passive income by locking cake here. Go check it out if you're curious to know more about it. Now this also gives us information that the fee tier of the pool is 0.25%. That is really good. I like pools with this fee tier. They tend to perform really well. So we're gonna click on Shib and wrap BNB pair. And from here, the chart just shows us the volume through time. We see there's these days where the volume just peaks with 7 million, 3.8 million, 5 million, and then there's other days where the market is really down. It's 500,000, 450, 584. But if you want to provide liquidity, the first thing you need to do, of course, is connect your wallet. Now we can click on add liquidity, and this will allow us to set up ranges. You see, this is the range that is set by default. You can make it tighter, you can make it wider, it's up to you. Now, depending how tight or wide your range is, the APR will differ. You see right now with a 50% overall range, we're getting a 14% APR. If we tighten it up, the APR goes up. If we tighten up even more, the APR goes up even more. But don't get greedy. After all, it's like I said in the beginning, if you set up a very tight range, it will require more management from your side if the market is too volatile. And from my experience, wider ranges tend to perform better over time, especially if you are using Ethereum. That's not the case here. We are on the BNB Smart Chain. But if you are on Ethereum, which is a high cost blockchain when it comes to gas fees, you also want to consider that, because every time that you readjust your range, set new ranges, even claim funds, you will pay gas fees, and those gas fees, if they are equal or higher even than the amount of funds that you are claiming from the pool, it's not going to be worth it. It's a cost, and your business is not generating you nearly as much as your potential costs. So that's also a thing you should consider, okay? You don't have to worry about that here on the BNB chain. The costs here are a couple dollars the most. Now, if you look back here on the chart, we see that Shiba Inu's price is at what we call a floor, so it might keep going down, but I will bet that they will go up rather than down. So I will let that to reflect on my chosen range. I'm gonna go back here on PancakeSwap, and then on the left side, this is my downside. I'm gonna put something like, let's call it a 20% on the downside and 50% on the upside. So this is overall a 70% range, which is quite wide. The APR is something around 38%, but this APR also is determined based on the past performance for the past 24 hours, okay? If the volume kicks back up, the APR will naturally be higher. And also liquidity distribution does have a role to play here as well to determine your rewards in fees, but that is something that I go in more detail on the video that I mentioned already. I could even potentially tighten up this even higher on my downside. I don't think Shib will drop 20% in value, so let's put it at 15. So this is an APR of 42%. And then I would just need to deposit some BNB, some Shib tokens. Now, one of the cool features that PancakeSwap has added is the Zap feature. This allows you to provide liquidity in just one click. It's really handy. You don't have to deposit specific amounts of each token. Let's say if you only have Shiba tokens in your wallet, you want to deposit all of those into the pool. They will do all the needed swaps on the back end, and they will show you the Zap route here. The tap-in feature is really handy because you can just deposit any amount of any token. For this example, I could deposit a specific amount of wrap BNB, a specific amount of Shib. I could even add more tokens. I could deposit cake even. For example, I could remove some of them here from the list. And let's say I just want to deposit cake, I could do that. They would swap everything in the back end so that my position would be opened with specific amounts of Shib token and also wrap BNB. From here on, you just need to set up the approvals as usual. But essentially, this is the way how you can generate passive income with Shib. Once your position is opened, then you can find them under in my positions here on the farm liquidity tab. You see there's earn, farm liquidity, then there's my positions. You would find it there and you would be able to claim your rewards whenever you want. You could also withdraw your funds from the liquidity pool at any point in time, whenever you want. That's the beauty about crypto, DeFi. We have total freedom. There's no locking periods. Now, this is just the tip of the iceberg, how you can earn passive income by holding a token, in the case Shiba Inu. If you want to know more and learn more about this, you can go and check out Crypto Labs. They even have a free how to build a cash flow DeFi business course. It is split in 3 parts. On the first, you'll get the foundations. On the second, the opportunities. And on the third, you will be able to see how to apply all of that in order to make an income. Outside of the free course, there's also going to be these 3 ways you can learn from them. In that case, it's going to be a paid membership type of deal. But if you use my referral link down below, it will get you 20% off on your first month. Now, guys, if you don't want to join any paid community, there's still a ton of free content out there. I share that all the time here on my channel. So if you enjoy this type of content, like and subscribe for more. Feel free to check out many of my other videos about starting generating passive income with liquidity pools. If you are interested in doing that, I highly recommend starting with blue chip assets, Bitcoin, Ethereum, meme coins, not so much, but I decided to make this video on Shiba Inu because they've been around for years and this floor seems to be quite solid, so why not? I know there's still a ton of appeal with the meme coins for the vast majority of people who are exposed to crypto, and it's still a way for you to generate some passive income, although with the meme coin, but it's a somewhat established meme coin. I don't think they're going anywhere as of now with the sort of community Shiba Inu was able to grow over throughout the years. So guys, if you enjoyed this type of content, like and subscribe for more. Thank you for watching. I'm going to wrap this one up. Take care, keep on exploring crypto, and I'll see you on the next one.